Ezra Levine is being pulled out of the court. What? Pulled out of the court by a security officer.
They dragged him out. I was sitting in there, and the judge had said Ezra, after fighting, recognised, because he had to recognise that he's a legitimate journalist that's come from Canada. Then, when the judge went out of the back room, the staff come in and said to Ezra, "You need to get out of here."
And then a security guard came in, though, sort of a mall cop, not a real cop, and started putting hands on me.
What did you think of the fact? What did you think of the fact?
It's contempt to talk about a court case.
No, it's not. No, it's not. There's no jury. That's only for juries. There's not contempt. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Justice has not been served. Tommy Robinson's terror trial descended into farce at Westminster Magistrates Court today, with a surely inevitable not guilty verdict delayed by 2 weeks as police turned up en masse, despite not the slightest hint of any trouble, and independent journalists being dragged from the courtroom after complaints from the shameful British-bashing corporation for showing them up. The past 48 hours really has exposed the corrupt British deep state, including the police, the judiciary, and the MSM, for the stitch-up merchants they are. Tommy Robinson is on trial for being Tommy Robinson. He literally did nothing wrong when the police pulled him over in his mate's Bentley on the way to Spain. With cash, yes, because he is debanked in this country thanks to the ludicrous cancel culture the elite class embrace. But as he told Outspoken's Lauren Lunn Farrow today, this is all part of an establishment plan to create an invisible far right in the UK.
He said, well, the posing and current risk from the far right. What are you talking about? I've never been far right. I've never been arrested under hate speech or racism. There's nothing like that on me. But you want me as a statistic, you want me as a number, and you want me as a figure, as they're doing with so many referrals now in schools, in education, of right-wing politics. So then when they come out, they'll say a huge rise in far-right extremism. Whereas really, it's just bullshit targeting by police officers for nothing, really, which is what we're seeing.
I mean, it is a win-win, though, in the way that the world's eyes are on you. Elon is paying for your legal fees. We can see how clearly this is being weaponised and distorted.
Everyone knows I'm not a terrorist, so they've just messed up again. Everyone knows I'm not a terrorist. So yeah, the world is watching, and I'm grateful that the world is watching. I'm grateful for the people's comments of support. They put me on trial to put you on trial. So they target me because I speak up, and they don't want anyone speaking up, so they try and set an example.
Now, the MSM has been completely shameful over the past 48 hours by distorting what really happened in court in order to play the Tommy is a bogeyman card yet again. Just look at how the Daily Mail posted newly released footage from the CPS in the past hour. As Tommy reacted, so the corrupt legacy media inevitably ran with corrupt authorities' narrative that it was okay to pull me over as a potential terrorist because I was driving my mate's Bentley. The shudders in the establishment as a working class man drove a Bentley. The sinister background music too by the pathetic Daily Mail. Now, speaking of pathetic, Ed Davey has been desperately rage-baiting Elon Musk over his decision to fund Tommy's legal bid entirely, posting on his X platform, "Is this you bankrolling far-right extremism on Britain's streets, Elon Musk?" Again, let me repeat to the stupid folk at the back, and no one is more stupid than Ed Davey, deriding ordinary folk who peacefully spent the most beautiful day together at Unite the Kingdom as far-right extremists is exactly why there needs to be a revolution at Westminster. But after proceedings finished, Tommy also challenged the Reform UK leader, who used the terror charge to justify his decision to distance himself.
No, Tommy Robinson's been right about many things. He's just not the company that I choose to keep. And even after that, we got, oh, Robinson's been arrested using terrorism laws, isn't there? And then we discover, no, actually, he wasn't arrested in London. He was arrested at the port of Dover, and it's something to do with a passport issue. And, listen, he has had some things very right over the years. It's just, he's not for me.
Well, after the court case, Tommy Robinson asked Nigel Farage directly, would you like to correct this yet, as I literally sit in court on trumped-up terrorism charges? Prompting Lawrence Fox to weigh in, I feel for people who think Farage is different in any way from what we have already. He's one of them. In many ways, he's worse because he's pretending he's not. He has his eye on the one prize he's sought his whole life, damn anyone who gets in his way. What has become abundantly clear to me in the past 2 days is that this case should never have gone to court. It is a disgrace that it did. Indeed, last night, Tommy was confident he will not be locked up again after the police admitted unlawful behaviour while in the dock.
Court today, what happened, we sat and we watched police officer after police officer accept and admit on the dock and on oath that their actions were unlawful. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I don't see where they've got anywhere to go, but it is me. Yeah, I'm confident after today. I wasn't confident before this that I needed a prison bag. I'm confident I do not need a prison bag, even if the judge finds a way of somehow justifying their actions. They can't send me to jail when you heard the evidence today, which played out, thankfully. So anyway, yeah, been an entertaining day, a tired day. I just want to get over and done with tomorrow, get the verdict, hopefully get the win, and crack on.
And of course, they know that, and they want to keep this pain going, which is why there was no verdict. But on the way to court this morning, Tommy explained, and this is important, this is critical, why he bought the ticket and was on his own in the Bentley, which he fully admitted wasn't his own car.
Anyone who knows me as well, I don't book anything, do I? So no. I message them, book this, do this, because I don't go online and do anything. I just drive places. So if I was getting a ticket for something, because that's all it was. I drove to the port. There's a little thing you go to, and you buy your ticket. That's not suspicious, is it? How's that suspicious?
Yeah, it's not.
And then you're driving on your own. I'm always on my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I was actually delivering a car, and they didn't mention the car again. It wasn't my car. I had the logbook, had the owner on the phone ready to talk to them. They didn't want to talk to him. Didn't want to look at the logbook. They didn't care about the car. It was all nonsense. So they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just delivering this car to south of Spain and coming back in 2 days."
One of the other things I witnessed yesterday that I was shocked by in the courtroom, we saw your confrontation, which is very famous now because it's all over Twitter, with the reporter from the BBC, Daniel Sanford. Now, one of the things the public may not know is that myself, Ezra Levant, and the rest of us, we were sitting directly behind Daniel Sanford and some of the rest of the left-wing media. We saw them scrolling our Twitter. They scrolled my Twitter, they scrolled Ezra's Twitter, they scrolled yours. And then we saw them, after scrolling our Twitters and seeing that we were tweeting there.
They said that I was tweeting, because my solicitor came over to me and said, "Look, someone's reported that you're sitting in here tweeting because there's tweets going off of your feed." I said, "But I'm not tweeting, that's other people tweeting. I ain't picking my phone up." So that's him.
Yeah, we saw him, after they scrolled, we saw him get up and go to the court clerk and the prosecutor and tell him that the rest of us, other journalists, were live tweeting. Now, how is that any semblance? And in a democracy, one of the defining characteristics of a democracy is a free press. How does that make you feel to see the press in your country now telling on other journalists so they can't report other citizen journalists?
They've done it for a specific reason. That if you read the reporting, which I've read now, the reporting of the mainstream media, they haven't highlighted any of the unlawful things the police done, any of the real outrageous things, like they made the decision within 30 seconds to detain me under the Terrorism Act. They're meant to question you. So, which he says he questioned me in his statement, but then when you see on camera, it's 30 seconds. Yeah. So he just asked me where I'm going. So there was nothing suspicious. He said he acted suspiciously. How can I act suspiciously? He asked me one question. Yeah. But then they don't want the public to get any of the information that you, Ezra, or other citizen journalists were putting out there, which is embarrassing for the police and embarrassing for counter-terrorism and embarrassing for the government. So they want to control the narrative. So how do they do that? They shut everyone else up. And the judge played his part in that by shutting everyone up.
And this is honestly so shocking. And I really think we need to think about this more, because What Tommy Robinson is saying, and having followed the trial very closely over the past 2 days, it's correct, is that the MSM will not report what happens in court cases accurately and fairly if it goes against their narrative. And at the same time, the MSM are working to exclude independent journalists, which we'll come to shortly, meaning that the narrative isn't heard by anyone. One example of that, and Tommy pointed this out when he arrived at court today, was the fact that on the stand, PC Thorogood was about to faint because he got caught out lying.
And it was unbelievable how bad the police were yesterday. How what they've said in their statement was different, how they got tripped up so much, and not one single report on it. But the man needed a break. He needed to take water. He was about to faint. The officer was about to faint because he got caught out lying. And it was so blatant he got caught out lying, he got tripped up and he got made to look like the liar he was. And it was so blatant why I was detained. I was detained because I'm Tommy Robinson, because of my political belief, not because of anything to do with terrorism. Now that's not right. And they, all the media, should be as alarmed as we are, but they're not. They never are. They don't give a shit. It's a club. It's a club, and we're not in it.
No, we're not in it. But trust me, I have been, and you don't want to be part of it. This is the real world. But for the UK police, it's much easier to pretend Tommy Robinson is the problem, rather than Islamist terrorists flooding the country illegally on a daily basis. So they follow him everywhere he goes, even to breakfast.
Look who decided to come to breakfast with us. Hilarious.
And it was very clear the police were looking for trouble at court today. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
So, Dan, I'm outside Westminster Magistrate Court, where I have counted 21 police, okay? I'm going to send you the other video. But this is what our tax money is paying for. This performative bullshit, yet again, and we know that women and children are at risk all throughout the country, and instead of the police doing the right thing and being put on jobs that actually would help and protect the country, oh no, there is 21 different officers outside this court. Do they all know something we don't about today's verdict? Here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 that side, and then let's go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Do they know something we don't? 21 cops outside the police.
But they would have been disappointed that the biggest drama came from this patriot unfurling his Union Jack flag. That was it. But it's no wonder, given the police presence, that Tommy was led to believe that he could be sent to jail today.
So the other BBC journalist as well?
Is he in there?
Yeah, he's gone in.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised, bro.
So, Tommy, we're now live.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling today, sir?
I feel all right. Yeah, I feel all right. Look, until I pulled up, I saw 6 meat wagons full of police officers around the side, and then I thought, do they know something we don't, and my bag gets sent to jail? And they've got security ready. So, but after seeing it play out yesterday so blatantly, after seeing the officer accept, whilst on the stand, on oath, that the detainment was unlawful, he admitted it was unlawful. So, but then seeing the mainstream media totally admit all these things from their reporting yesterday. So much happened in that court yesterday that none of them have reported. And then what the judge done is he prevented any citizen journalists, i.e. Ezra and others that have come to report, he prevented them telling the truth of what was going on inside the courtroom. So they want the only narrative for you to get, the public, is the BBC, Sky News fucking narrative.
And Tommy again stressed that he does deserve journalistic protection because what he had on his phone related to corrupt police.
I'm either going to be a convicted terrorist or not. That is insane, though. Say that out loud. I'm going to be a convicted terrorist because I'm a journalist. If I wasn't a journalist, I'd understand their argument. But because I'm a journalist, and we've had statements from survivors of rape who have said they don't want the police to have the information that they give me, for a good reason, because in Telford, in Rotherham, in Rochdale, in all these cities, the police were working with Islamic rape gangs. They were hiding evidence. That's what was happening. So I'm not going to give them access to my source of information. I'm not going to let them know who tells me information about them. Remember, in our Rape of Britain series, one of the episodes, we outed a corrupt police officer. So I don't want them to know who gives me information.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there should have been a verdict today. There should have been a verdict today. It's an inevitable not guilty verdict, but what didn't they want? They didn't want Tommy Robinson being able to pose outside the court today, saying not guilty just before his state visit to Israel. So the judge delayed the decision for a fortnight, causing the activists to be naturally livid.
We're on.
Verdict is the 4th of November, so back to court, which again is more fees because they just said now we're going to have another bill for another day in court. It's just insane, isn't it? Another bill for another day in court. We heard all the evidence. There was no evidence, yeah? So they arrested me under terrorism legislation, which is where they're meant to find out if I'm a terrorist. All they asked me about was my political beliefs. All they asked me about. So they didn't ask me about anything to do with violence, terrorism. In the end, they threw in something about far-right extremism. They didn't ask me anything about that. They just asked me about my legal, lawful, legitimate political beliefs, which is what this was about. This was about detaining me because I'm Tommy Robinson and because I'm outspoken on subjects such as Islam. You heard it from the final officer, Islamophobia. So what even is Islamophobia? What, you can't have an opinion of Islam without getting detained under the Terrorism Act now in Great Britain? But that's it. So I'm 4th of November, which is a good thing because it means I get to go on a state visit to Israel tomorrow to form friendships and allegiances with a government that actually understands Islamic jihad and doesn't just understand them, would stand in the face and fight them rather than bow and pander to them. Because unfortunately this government bows and panders to Islamic jihad.
Now, one of the most shocking sideshows in court today was how the British Bashing Corporation, via its establishment shill reporter Daniel Sanford, a long-time Tommy hater, attempted to shut down independent journalists from reporting on the case, including the brilliant Rebel News founder Ezra Levant. Sanford has been unable to hide his disdain for Tommy for many years. Indeed, his only post about the trial yesterday read, in a video recorded on his way to court, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, so he uses his formal name rather than Tommy Robinson, said, "Thankfully, I haven't had to beg for donations today because Elon Musk has picked up the legal bill for this absolute state persecution." That prompted brilliant replies like Donald Rachel saying, "Better than fleecing the taxpayer so you can swan around Broadcasting House with your fellow champagne socialists as you do." Or the nutty professor who said, "Will you be calling Zach Polanski by his real name?" Or how about Amy Mack? "You're not a journalist, you're a reputational assassin. Weak, spineless and cowardly. You ran from the camera after smearing Tommy, then hid like a little bitch boy." Don Keith, who had been in court, did confirm that Sanford had worked to silence his citizen journalist rivals, writing, "It was wild, bro. We watched that BBC reporter literally walk up to the court clerk and prosecutor and tell them about citizen journalists reporting, and they immediately shut us all down. They wanted to control the only narrative, but it didn't work." And you'll remember after court yesterday, Tommy had had enough and turned the cameras on Daniel Sanford.
You remember the press you was in there today. Can I ask you, what did you think of the fact? What did you think of the fact?
It's contempt to talk about a court case.
No, it's not. No, it's not. There's no jury. That's only for juries. There's not contempt. That's a lie. That's a lie. No, you remember the press.
I can't discuss.
Well, I've looked at your reporting today. I've looked at your reporting. I've looked at your reporting. I've looked at your reporting today. Yeah? Why don't you tell the truth? Why don't you tell the truth about what happened in court today? Why don't you tell the truth? Why don't you tell the truth? You see, that's the media. Where's Wendell? Wendell's behind you. That's the mainstream media, yeah? He is sat in that court case. We'll see what verdict we get tomorrow. Not one of them has reported any of the unlawful stuff the police have done. And then do you know what? He went to the judge. He went to the judge to make sure Ezra would stop reporting. He did. He went as a member of the press to point out that he's sitting in the public gallery and he's reporting on this case. To prevent him reporting so that the only narrative you get is from them. fast car, cash in his car. Why don't I have cash in the car? Because we collected it at a demonstration the day before, and I can't bank in the UK, you mucks. Anyway.
Now, before he arrived in court this morning, Tommy continued his war with the BBC mouthpiece, writing, "This is why Daniel Sanford wanted to stop Ezra Levant from posting live updates from court yesterday. He's a smarmy, censorious, fake news smear merchant and retarded ideologue." Watch.
Ezra's a machine.
And apparently over 8 million people have seen his tweets, which far exceeds the BBC.
That is why they didn't want him tweeting. Yeah, because they lost total control. They've always had control with the mainstream media. They've always had control. They've lost control.
And they have lost control. But today in court, there was the ludicrous spectacle of Ezra Levant, who had travelled from Canada because he doesn't believe the UK MSM will accurately report what happened in the trial, being violently dragged from the courtroom by security because he continued to live tweet, even though he had asked the judge for permission. Brother Wendell of Urban Scoop witnessed the extraordinary scene for himself.
You can see Tommy on the left-hand side behind the glass, but just in front of me, Ezra Levine is being pulled out of the court. What? Pulled out of the court by a security officer. And the security officer is saying to Ezra Levine, he's got to leave. But Ezra is saying, I have accreditation and the judge has permitted me to be in here. But it looks like what has transpired is that the fake journalists from the BBC and all of those people, they're in the court, but the spaces have now been taken and there's no room for Ezra. So he's now been kicked out, he's now gone.
It was absolutely insane. Tommy confirmed what had happened and said it meant there is now a war against citizen journalism by the British state.
They dragged him out. I was sitting in there, and the judge had said Ezra, after fighting, recognised, because he had to recognise that he is a legitimate journalist that's come from Canada. Then, when the judge went out of the back room, the staff come in and said to Ezra, "You need to get out of here." And he said, "Well, the judge, I heard you saying, well, the judge has just said I can stay in here." "Nope, you need to leave." Then they brought security in to forcefully eject.
And I was there.
You saw it, yeah.
I was there.
Okay, I was sitting in the dock to forcefully eject you from court. Mad. As I said, there's a war against citizen journalism by the state.
It was shocking to me. I mean, the judge gave me the green light, and then the staff wouldn't have it. They were
and they done it when the judge was out in the back. Right. So we don't know if the judge was on side or not.
We don't know. You're right. Very strange.
So the judge may have gone out the back and forcefully had you removed. We don't know.
And that's only 1% of what you face here all the time. Not even 1%.
So, I mean, thank God for Elon Musk, who, along with Donald Trump, has returned the concept of free speech to big tech. But first, you know, one of the big questions we keep coming back to on this show is who controls the future? Big tech, governments, or us? Because let's be honest, technology is moving faster than anyone imagined. Artificial intelligence isn't some far-off concept anymore. It's already reshaping everything from the media to your workplace and even the way we think. And here's the thing, you can either sit back and let the Silicon Valley's elite dictate where this goes, or you can actually get ahead of it, learn how to use it, take back some control. That's why I've partnered today with Outspoken, because they're giving you the tools to do exactly that. And I don't know if you've realized it, but 2026 is less than 100 days away. And if you look back at those goals you set at the start of the year, have you really made the progress you wanted, especially when it comes to learning new skills? Well, there's still time. I've managed to double my own progress this year by diving into what I think is the most valuable skill of the decade, AI. Because right now, companies like Microsoft and Meta are poaching AI first talent like mad. It's competitive, but this Halloween, there's nothing to be afraid of because Outspoken has you covered. The world's first AI-focused education platform is hosting a 2-day AI Mastermind workshop this Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time on both days. Over 10 million people have already attended this training worldwide, and many have gone on to build AI-powered businesses, generating thousands of pounds a month, even with zero coding experience. It's rated 4.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot, and normally it costs $395. But for my audience, you can grab a completely free seat as part of their pre-Halloween sale. This isn't another boring online course. You'll be learning directly from experts at Microsoft, people actually shaping the AI revolution. In just 2 days, you'll master 10 plus AI-powered tools, learn AI tricks inside Excel sheets and presentations, build AI agents, automate your workflow, and start getting ahead of the curve. And you'll be joining a global AI learning community full of people like you who actually want to do something with this technology, not just talk about it. Seats are limited, so don't wait. The link is right at the top of the description and in the pinned comment below. So grab your free seat now for Outskill's 2-day AI Mastermind, 100% free for the first 1,000 people. Oh, and if you want insider updates, join their WhatsApp community before the big weekend kicks off. This is your chance to turn curiosity into capability and maybe even a new career. But now, back to the show.
You know, the judge asked me to go easy on the cops and the prosecutors. That's what he asked me to. But he didn't. I was going to say he didn't ask anyone to go easy on you. It's sort of normal that you defame Tommy in your mainstream coverage.
Or didn't pick up on any of the lies they told either, or the way they twisted stories. Yeah. But yeah, I'm grateful for everyone who supported me. I'm grateful for Elon Musk for giving me the opportunity to have my King's Counsel in there. So Carson Kay, my solicitor firm, and the King's Counsel, Alistair Williamson, was unbelievable. He absolutely tore those 3 police officers a new arsehole.
And I have to say, one of the joys has been Tommy taking on the MSM outside of court, including ABC in the US.
Do you think they should have access to as a journalist? What's your answer? You're a journalist.
I would not want a journalist to have state have access to their phone.
So you support me today?
Not necessarily.
Why don't you support me today then? I'm a journalist and they detain me under terrorism legislation to get access to my mobile phone to see who I talk to and what my sources of information are. So you just said you wouldn't support that.
I'm a journalist.
So do you think that's right?
I'm covering the story.
Okay, so do you think that's right?
I'm just here in the middle, as it were.
But you don't think it's right?
I'm in the middle.
No, you come on, you're a journalist. Do you think it's right that under terrorism legislation they detained me as a journalist? You're going to hear it all in court if you actually listen and report what they say in court, under no suspicion of any crime. So there's no crime. Give us your passwords to your phone and let us see every single thing on your phone and download it onto our system. There's no crime. Do you think they should be able to do that? Do you think the state should be able to do that?
I don't think the state...
So thanks, so you support me on a not guilty verdict today. You're not being a loose job, do you?
You want to take that? You want to take that? It's not that hard to support.
I mean, that was done with good humour, unlike the toe-to-toe with Daniel Sanford. But honestly, this is so dystopian. It is so disturbing to me, and we should all be deeply, deeply concerned that we now live in a world where the British Bashing Corporation is working with the judiciary to try and shut down honest reporting of Tommy Robinson court cases. Ezra Levant revealed what happened to our own Lauren the Insider.
And yesterday the judge ordered me to stop until I could furnish proof that I was a credentialed journalist back home in Canada. So today I gave him a letter signed by the president of the Independent Press Gallery in Canada and other material, and the judge looked at it and he said, okay, I'm going to recognize those credentials here. You can be just like the other fancy regime approved accredited journalists.
The propaganda puppet.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, I appreciate that because I do have that status, but I've never needed to show that before, and I've live tweeted from more than a dozen trials in the UK. So I sat with the cool kids, but then there must have been, and the judge was fine with it, and I was sitting there, and it was helpful in only one way. I was in the courtroom, not behind glass, so it was so much easier to hear.
Yeah.
Sort of hard to hear in the public gallery. Mm-hmm. But then when the judge left, the clerks came up to me and said, you got to get out of here, how dare you? I said, what are you talking about? The judge just said I could sit with the mean girls, and the judge just saw me. They said, no, you got to go.
Yeah.
I said, I'll go if the judge says so, but I'm not going because you say so. I want to hear the judge. Seriously, the judge had just said it was kosher for me to sit there. Well, and I was going to hold my ground in my polite way.
Yeah, you were very polite
the whole time. And then a security guard came in, though, sort of a mall cop, not a real cop, and started putting hands on me. And listen, he weighs like 60% of what I weigh. I don't think he could have pulled getting me out of there. But I didn't want this to spiral out of control. Yeah. I didn't want it to get physical. I didn't want real cops to be called. I was extremely disappointed that the court staff were defying the judge's clear permission, but I wasn't going to make a big fuss about it, so I yielded, and I went and sat back with the gallery. It was sort of gross, but it's a microcosm about what's happening in the UK, which is that fake credentialism is being used to silence other voices.
It absolutely is, and it is chilling. Now, following Ben Habib of Advance UK's decision to speak out in support of Tommy ahead of the trial, UKIP leader Nick Tanconi went one step further today by actually turning up at court. And he revealed to Al Lauren that Tommy is being persecuted by a designated campaign of left-wing fascism to, he says, exhaust the patriots.
So we were hoping to come out to a verdict, but oh no, 4th of November, that is when we will get the verdict. What do you make of this?
Certainly. So I think that Tommy is being persecuted. I think he's been earmarked by the state. I think he is being persecuted, but it's not just him, it's his family, it's his supporters. There seems to be a designated campaign to exhaust the patriots. I think the war we're in, as I often say we are at war, is a war of attrition. It's slow and steady under what I have often described as left-wing fascism in Britain. So let's look at examples such as two-tier policing, two-tier justice, two-tier governance. Let's look at the fact that why on earth is Tommy being put in this position? Why did I wake up this morning, no one knows about this yet, to the fact that an associate of mine last summer during the unrest, he's pled not guilty to a charge. Young man, he's got lots of dependents, of good character, and he's being sentenced today and potentially is going to prison for years. Early 30s, good character, no violence, and he's being sentenced today. Now, I don't know that verdict yet, but let's look at some of the cases where people who should never have been allowed in Britain have received incredibly lenient sentences based on rape, murder, and those who have malintent and subversive intent on our country, like the communists and the Marxists, for example. We are living in two-tier Britain, two-tier policing, two-tier justice and two-tier governance. And I say, what happens when they come for you or myself? We should all stand together, all stand with Tommy, because Tommy's a symbol of what's coming for all of us. Yeah. If you dare speak out against the establishment, that's tyranny.
Yeah.
That's tyranny. Don't we know it? This show trial is a farce. Every single media organisation and journalist should be calling it out, but they're not, so you can't trust them. Now, the Superstar Panel. And it is brilliant to have with us today Hannah Kirkpatrick of Hannah's World, the aforementioned Lauren Lunn Farrow of The Insider on YouTube, and Howard Cox of Fair Fuel UK and Advance UK. Now, Howard, you have been in court for the past 2 days. You have seen it all. What's your verdict?
Well, that opening scenes of what you presented, I don't think I can better what you've said. I've seen everything. Yes, I saw the whole thing going on. I saw the Ezra incident, but most importantly, my mouth nearly hit the floor when I listened to the actual evidence given by the police. I listened to those three policemen. They were saying things I don't remember, I don't know. They missed out things on their evidence, and they absolutely did, actually, in terms of the process, in terms of procedure, they were unlawful. They did not stick to the procedure, etc. And they used, and this is what gets me, the word far right and his notoriety, Tommy's notoriety in terms of being famous. He was stopped by something, and I think there are powers above that instructed this operation to take place. And I was sickened by this, and I was surrounded by loads and loads of people who were also sickened. And frankly, the police should be ashamed, but more importantly, the state should be ashamed of what they're doing to Tommy. They're persecuting Tommy again and again and again. And why he couldn't, with all the evidence there, you could actually have made a judgment today within an hour and saying he's not guilty, you are free to leave.
Tommy did weigh in outside court, Howard, on you and on the fact that in part you were effectively forced out of Reform UK because of your decision to support him. Watch this.
He put his neck on the line to stand up for me when he'd never met me as well. And then he lost his position within Reform and was kicked out of Reform for daring to stand up and say that some of the things I said were correct. So then I saw how he was treated, as I saw how many people were treated, and many people have showed me loyalty and stood by me when they've never even met me. So yeah, it was great to meet Howard. And that lady there just come over and said, I've just joined Advance as well. So it's good.
Now, Tommy did directly target Nigel Farage after attending court, Howard Cox, because you'll note that in that trigonometry interview, the Reform UK leader tried to use this spurious terrorism charge almost as a justification as to why your wing of Reform UK, which is now effectively Advance UK, was wrong. Having sat through the court case today, do you think Nigel Farage got this one wrong?
Massively wrong. Of course he has. And he should actually own up and come up, put his head above the parapet and say, I've got this wrong. He doesn't have to like, we've said this many times, doesn't have to like Tommy whatsoever, but he sort of begrudgingly admits he's done some good things, etc. But I've known Nigel for 15 years. And I didn't expect him to treat me the way he treated me or Rupert Lowe or Ben Habib and many, many branch chairmen across loyal Reform people, branch chairmen who are leaving in droves. And it's interesting how their membership with Reform, which is said to be 240,000, well, where the hell did we get 40,000 paid members from? Most of them are ex-reformers. So we're in a situation now where he does, unfortunately, he's put himself into a position, he's saying things about tax now he's going back on from his manifesto. I cannot believe what's happened to Reform UK. And Reform UK, I mean, really should be the party that Advance is becoming. I'm afraid he will implode. I guarantee this time next year, Reform will be nothing.
Bold prediction. Lauren Lund-Farrow, you have been embedded with Tommy over the past 48 hours. He wanted a verdict. He wanted a verdict today because he was feeling confident. What this means, though, is that he is able to go on his state visit to Israel tomorrow, something that is very important to him. But at the same time, he still has this hanging over his head. Do you think this verdict was possibly delayed because they didn't want the optics of Tommy being able to go to Israel as a free man? The UK state got it wrong.
I think the minute I caught this morning, I knew we weren't going to get, the answer that we wanted today, because so much of the narrative is pictorial led. And so if Tommy comes out a free man being cleared, it's very hard for them to run that story without an image, and here we are. We turn up at court and there are 21 police. And the 21 police, and I appreciate that they were sent there and it wasn't their fault and the powers that be sent them, but they're all standing around chatting. I don't quite know what they were doing, and they were just hanging around. It was a spectacle and it was performative. And then inside the court, Dan, I was right behind all of the mainstream media. There was a glass partition that was had little bits so you could hear everyone, and they weren't sat transcribing what was going on. Oh no, they were sat looking at their analytics for the stories they had posted on Tommy, and I was sat very cleverly behind them looking over, because I thought, I want to, unlike you lot, that side of the wall, I like to do proper work and I go into things with an open mind. And from what I saw, all their Tommy stories were doing pretty well. And here we are, an attack on Tommy is an attack on people like me, people like you, and we are sick of it.
Big time. Yes, we are. Hannah, you obviously know Tommy well as well. I just want to read out a little bit about what he has said in regards to this trip to Israel, because this sounds very significant, Hannah. He says, a proud patriot coming tomorrow to stand with the Jewish state and deepen my understanding of the fight against jihad. Last night, I spoke with Amichai Chikul, Israel's minister for anti-Semitism. I'm grateful for his invitation and friendship. This will be a meaningful visit. He's doing a whole load. And he also will deliver his first public address in Israel too. He's thanked Elon Musk again for standing by me and covering my legal costs. I go to Israel as a guest of government leaders and as a proud friend of the Jewish people. This visit, he writes, is about truth, courage, unity, and patriotism. Now that I'm free, I'll fight louder and stronger than ever. A significant moment, Hannah Wright, in the rehabilitation of Tommy Robinson, the state visit to Israel when the eyes of the world are on the country following the peace deal.
Absolutely. It's obviously been a massive week for Israel, for the world, and for them to roll out the red carpet for Tommy, especially given how he's treated in his own country, is just amazing. And he should be excited about it. And I know that he is. And just the people he's going to get to meet and the interactions he's going to get to have. And obviously in that tweet that he did write earlier, just bringing it back to his message for the last 15 years is against radical Islam, essentially, as he's put it in this tweet, jihad, which has obviously plagued the world, but the Middle East, especially in Israel, which is hopefully coming to an end with this amazing, monumental ceasefire. But people just in this country, I think because of the media and their propaganda and their lies and the government's enabling of certain ideologies. Do we know why? There's many reasons, but it's just absolutely disgusting that we as British people, as it goes into this flag situation and the patriotism, and you can't be a patriot without being called a far right extremist. All of this disgustingness is just allowed to prevail, and people like Tommy are pulled over and charged and put in court for terrorism, for driving someone's Bentley and taking cash to Spain because he's been debanked in the UK. That is where we're at. It is the biggest political hit job, the biggest political target, obviously, in this country at the moment. And I know it all seems doom and gloom and it all seems like everything is just terrible every single day, but it kind of means we're winning. It does. Because they're desperate, they're floundering, and you look at the lies of the mainstream media and the desperation in the court today by having to get Ezra. He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Can't have him in there telling the truth, too much truth. And the Channel 4 hit piece on citizen journalists, like, why do that? You're just drawing more attention to it, and I think alerting maybe just a few people that weren't aware of people like us and Ezra and Martin Gauci and people on Adam Brooks on the ground. The MSM's lost control of the narrative, and I think this is also proven by Donald Trump's campaign before the presidential election last year in America, because he went and circumvented the media. Obviously, he's got a massive distrust of the MSM, and he went on all the podcasts, all the the independent journalists, and they did it in a different way because people are consuming their news in a different way, and they don't trust the media. So any day that humiliates the MSM or the government is a pretty good day. And Tommy doesn't feel like it's good. Obviously, there's no verdict today. Not there's any jury, but there's no decision. But he's going to have a great time in Israel. He's going to have the red carpet rolled out for him. And there's no way they can charge him with this. And they just have to drag it out and try and, I don't know what, make some more money on their analytics between now and the 4th of November.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.